Good day, everybody. Once again, it is me, the J to the E to the double F free. This is Jeffrey Harris, and you're listening to the 411 Wrestling Interviews podcast. And we are back with a new exclusive interview here today. We are talking to MLW roster member Kevin Ku, a veteran professional wrestler who will be debuting for MLW. For the MLW restart, which is set for next month, and it will be bringing new MLW TV content to the Fubo Network and DAZN right around the corner. So it's great that MLW, they're getting back into action, and they will be back with new episodes very soon. Really happy to talk to Kevin Ku here today, so stay tuned. An exclusive interview with Kevin Ku here on the 411 Wrestling Interviews podcast. All right, this is Jeffrey Harris, and you are listening to the 411 Wrestling Interviews podcast. Today we are speaking with professional wrestler Kevin Ku, who is signed to Major League Wrestling and will be part of MLW The Restart. MLW is coming back with new TV content, new TV tapings set for next month, and you guys will be back on TV I think in November on Fubo Network and DAZN. So you are now signed to MLW, Kevin, and you're finally going to be able to get to work for them. So how is that feeling right now?
Really excellent. I was supposed to start in April originally, but obviously everything got shut down. So now it's just been a constant waiting game, seeing what's going to happen and just waiting on the emails, waiting to see when we're going to get everything started. So it feels really good.
But now you're going to be coming back. In the meantime, all these new TV deals have been made for MLW. So now they have Fubo Network, and they're also going to be streaming on DAZN. So how does it at least feel that, you're coming back, and this will sort of almost be like a new era for MLW, with new platforms and new chances for exposure for yourself?
It's a really cool feeling because, initially signing, I knew it was a pretty big step for my career, but just after seeing all of these new TV deals and where we're going to be seen in the U.S. and internationally is just insanely wild, and just all of the new talent that has been signed as well and that are probably going to be signed after all this is just really cool and exciting to see.
Now, you're an experienced wrestler. You're a wrestler. You've been all over the independent scene. You've wrestled all over the world. But is this your first major contract for your career?
Correct.
Oh, wow. So how exciting is that for you that, to land that first big contract of your career?
Honestly, it never really crossed my mind that I wanted to, obviously everyone wants to sign a big money contract and, make money a living out of wrestling. But really, that was kind of, in the back of my mind. What was in the forefront of my mind was traveling as much as I can and wrestling everywhere and anywhere that I can as much as possible. But it feels like it's really just a surreal feeling, and I don't think that it'll truly really set in until I see myself on the TV screen.
Now, for the MLW restart, do you have any insight on where the tapings will be held and sort of what the general format will be? Do you will it be an empty arena? Will it only be personnel and wrestlers only? That sort of thing. I'm curious if you have any insight on that.
Yeah, so from what I know, it is going to be a close-set taping. MLW hired a COVID-19 compliance officer, so we can make sure that everyone is safe upon arrival and then throughout the entire time the tapings are going. They're going to test us when we get in there. They want us to get tested independently before we even leave, and then test us again when we leave again. So it's just going to be a close-set taping, and then only personnel that are going to be actually a part of the tapings or part of production are going to be a part of it.
Now, with all your experience, is this going to be a whole new challenge for you as a wrestler to be wrestling without fans? And is that almost like having to learn how to wrestle all over again? I'm just curious what that's like from your perspective.
It is and it isn't. Like, the first couple of years of my career, I wrestled on a lot of smaller shows and even just like studio taping shows where they were literally just the wrestlers around the ring acting as the fans. So like, I'm kind of used to it, but it definitely helps to have like the fans' energy to feed off of, because there's nothing like just hearing like the roar of a crowd when you're like in a match and you're so tired, but you know that like there's just an energy going on the entire time. So like, it's going to be definitely an adjustment period, because I guess I got used to just working with like crowds just all over now. But I think I can adapt pretty well.
This whole pandemic, it has been very challenging to say the least. Matt Hardy put it pretty succinctly in that video where he said 2020 has just been a rotten year. But I mean, you're a pro wrestler, and you've only gotten to wrestle sporadically, over the summer. So what has that been like? You're a wrestler, and most of the industry, while there has been some wrestling, throughout the year, most of the wrestling industry has been shut down, until promotions figured out how to get a handle on this, how they would want to mount something like MLW with this restart. So what is it like for you to be dealing that? This is your livelihood, this is what you do, this is what you love, and you can't do it like you normally want, and it's just tough because we have this virus and we have this pandemic going on. So I'm just curious, how has it been challenging from your perspective?
Man, I'll tell you, the first like 2 months were super rough because I literally just stayed inside my house. Like, I got my groceries delivered. I didn't eat out. I just worked out in my basement every day, and just like some days I watch a lot of wrestling just from all around because I love wrestling and I want to keep up on it. But there were definitely like weeks at a time where I was just like, I can't watch wrestling. It's too depressing right now because I can't do it. But then like it's kind of been a good thing for me because I've been able to like rehab a lot of like nagging injuries I had that I wasn't really able to just working every single weekend and traveling. So like, I feel oddly the best I've ever felt, like even beginning wrestling.
Now, in between, those shows, are you still able to keep, those tools sharp and, getting those workouts in, getting the training sessions in? Are you still able, is that something you're still able to do right now?
Yeah, for sure.
Gearing up for this restart.
So like my actual gym workouts, like my gym, I live in Nashville right now, so my gym has opened back up with a limited capacity and master required. So like, that's been really good that I've been able to like get back in the swing of lifting like how I used to lift before the pandemic started. And there's no like rings that are close to me. So like, I'll like sporadically be able to like visit either like my tag team partner Dom up in Ohio for like a week or so, and then come back in quarantine for 2 weeks. Or just like, there's one in Chattanooga that I've gone to once that my buddy, he owns a ring there. So like, it's been few and far between. So the few shows that I've done, I've definitely felt like slight ring rust, but I feel like I have enough muscle memory that I haven't really lost too much of a step.
Now, another wrestler, who recently joined the MLW roster, is a guy you've teamed with, a guy you've held tag titles with in PWF and SUP, Dominic Garrini. So how do you like that, you're sort of joining him and that he's part of the MLW roster as well?
Oh, I'm so excited. Like, that was a big reason why I signed with MLW, was because he was a part of it. He's legit one of my best friends in the entire world, and we talk literally every day about, like wrestling, whatever. So it's nice to have like a true friend and not just like acquaintances that I see like at shows every once in a while, on the team with me.
So do you want to mix it up and team with him in MLW, or would you be okay if you guys had to, put the friendship aside and had to mix it up in the ring at some point?
I mean, we have a very, like, of course I want to team with him because that's just what we do. But if it came to where like, hey, we need you guys to have a match together, that's completely fine. There's no animosity between us. We've actually wrestled before and we're going to wrestle soon. in a singles, and it's just like it's more of like an iron sharpen iron thing, you know. And you can only get better by wrestling people who are better or at your level.
Dominic, he has that grappling BJJ background. You have a background in karate, and there are a lot of athletes in MLW who have combat sport or MMA related backgrounds. You also have King Mo, Tom Lawler. What do you think of this type of roster and those type of talents, and hopefully getting into the ring with those type of wrestlers at some point?
I think it's awesome. Like, now is such like an era of pro wrestling where every fan thinks that they know everything about wrestling, and it's just kind of like, oh, we know what's going on. But with like actual combat athletes or people who are shoot style, like it takes them out of it. They're like, oh wait, maybe I don't know what's going on. Maybe this is real. And I think that's like the coolest thing, because it used to be there weren't like there wasn't the internet with like dirt sheets and stuff like that back in the 80s and stuff. So like people just assumed that everything was real. Like what was happening in front of their eyes was a real factual thing. So I think that's something that MLW is kind of cornering again.
Who would you say are your greatest mentors in the wrestling business?
Hot Sauce Tracy Williams has helped me a ton. We've wrestled a couple of times, and our time together was kind of limited before he got signed to an exclusive contract. Eric Stevens, who's part of MLW as well, he's helped me a lot. Tom Lawler's helped me a lot. Dom's helped me a lot. Like, just like a lot of people that I've actually been in the ring with and interacted with are the people that I try to like kind of learn a lot of stuff from, just because we're so frequent around each other, and those are definitely the most frequent ones I've been around.
When you first broke into the business, who were like your key trainers, and who were your main trainers who helped you get ring ready?
Actually, Ivar, he works for WWE.
Oh wow.
He was like one of my first trainers. So like the first, I think, 5 months of my career, he helped train me. And then I trained up in New England. So like there were people like Eddie Edwards and Tommaso Ciampa that would like stop in and like help teach classes. So like I had a lot of really good teachers, and the nice thing about my school was just like the basics were drilled in. Like, do the basics right and know how to do them with literally your eyes closed. Like there would be some drills that would be like, okay, try to run the ropes with your eyes closed. Be like, this seems terrible and a scary idea, but like I got to that point where I can legit do that. So like that's why I said like this time off and not being able to be in a ring as much, it's like not super affecting me, because I have such a muscle memory for like a ring in general that like I just know what I'm doing.
Because I mean, there are some things you're never going to see coming when you're inside the ring in terms of bumps and moves and whatnot, I imagine. So mm-hmm. I imagine that's an important skill to have. But was it a specific school or gym up in New England?
Yeah, it's called New England Pro Wrestling Academy.
Okay.
So it's a long name. It used to be one of the old Kawasaki schools.
Mm-hmm.
There was like 2 or 3 up there, I believe, but this one was like in North Massachusetts.
Now for the MLW restart, and I think it's very good to hear that they're taking these steps and having a COVID compliance officer, and they're also going to be testing you all multiple times. Even though you guys are getting back to work, how does it feel, just in terms of health and safety, to know that MLW is going to be taking those steps? They're going to be testing the wrestlers. They're going to be testing everyone in the building. Will it put your mind at ease, and are you happy to know that MLW is taking those steps to protect everyone and keep everyone healthy and safe?
Oh, 100%. Like, I'm a little bit of like anxiety-ridden, like neat freak. So
mm-hmm.
this whole thing has just kind of like freaked me out. Like, so every once in a while I'll see someone out without a mask on, and I'm just like, oh God, I have to get as far away from you as possible right now. Like, I have no idea what's going through your mind. So it's like, I've had a lot of conversations with Court Bauer, like just about the restart and what's going into the safety just in general for not only the wrestlers, but literally everyone that works for MLW going into these restarts. And he's really put my mind at ease about everything.
Will the building have a mask policy as well?
Yes.
I would hope.
Yes.
I would hope so.
Yeah.
With
If
all
not,
this,
I'll go get Master People and physically put it on them.
there, you know, I'm not. Look. You tell me to wear a mask, Kevin. I'm not going to argue with you. So I guess, what do you think about these new platforms that MLW also has? So we have Fubo Network and DAZN. Do you feel like this is a big chance for you to get exposure and kind of build your fan base up as well?
Yeah, 100%. Like, I think that I don't want to say that the era of like straight up people having cable TV is dying, because it's obviously still a very big platform for all forms of entertainment. But there's a lot of cable cutters now. Like, I don't have cable myself, and I just stick to like streaming services or anything like online. So like, that's the easiest and best way for me to take in information or like any sort of entertainment. So I think that with how the world is working now, especially with everyone being stuck indoors pretty much, like, I think it's awesome that we're on these types of platforms.
I like your mantra, violence is forever. Tell me how you develop that as kind of like part of your persona.
So it's kind of like a two-part thing. Like, the way that me and Dom wrestle is very much, I mean, it's the short and simple of it. It's a very violent, nature that we have. Like, we believe that there's just a physicality to wrestling that was missing, and it's just like, I don't hate how, like, if there's a character wrestler, I don't necessarily hate them. I just don't think that that's a proper way to like keep wrestling. Like, gimmicks can come and go, but the actual wrestling ability will stay forever. Like, people can tell if you're like, terrible in the ring. So that's just like our way of thinking. And then I grew up listening to like a lot of hardcore bands and punk bands. Mm-hmm. So there's this band called Nails, and one of their songs is called Violence Forever, and I really enjoyed it. So
that's a very good answer.
Yeah.
Are you coming into MLW? Are you going to be targeting anyone? Do you want titles? What do you want to do?
Oh, we're coming hard for the Von Erichs. We are coming for those tag team titles.
Okay. I like the sound of that. They are a great team, and I think that'll be great to see you mix up with those type of guys. Also, I saw that Dojo Pro video, where you talked about viewing yourself as a technical wrestler. I thought that was very interesting. So would you describe your style as like technical wrestling, or would you classify any other styles for yourself?
So I did that 2 years ago now.
I think so. Yeah.
Like that. I think that I'm a way different person and wrestler from even that point. Like, I look back at those matches and I'm like, man, who is that person in the ring? Because it's just like, I felt like I wasn't very confident in myself. I didn't really know who I was or what I was doing. And now, like, I classify myself as like my ideal wrestler right now. Like, obviously there's faults to me, and I'll like watch a match and be like, that wasn't that great. But I mean, I still see myself as a technical wrestler, because like Bryan Danielson is one of my absolute all-time favorite wrestlers, and he's the best wrestler in the world.
Right.
And I watch a lot of world sports. I watch a lot of technical wrestling, but I love the brawling style, just like the nitty-gritty getting into it style of like, if I'm going to watch like a Minoru Suzuki and a Ishii match, like, and them just forearming each other for like 2 minutes straight. And like, I just love that physicality style.
Yeah. Just that intent, bringing that intensity, just with everything they do. I really dig that. Okay. So, last thing for me, Kevin, if you have any plugs, any merchandise, things you'd like to share, any other projects you got going on that you'd like to share with our listeners, wanted to give you that time to go ahead and let us know.
I am on Twitter and Instagram at KevinXKu, KU. I do have a web store. It's violenceisforever.bigcartel.com. That's where you can find all of my stuff. I pretty much put everything I do, and not super personal wise on the internet. So like any projects that I'm coming up with, I'll just put on my Twitter and Instagram. So that's where you can follow most of my stuff. And then just look out for me on MLW starting out with DAZN. and
All right.
Fubo Sports.
So MLW, the restart. You guys are going to be starting next month. We're going to be seeing you guys back on TV, I think, by November. Hopefully, this is very exciting. I'm very happy for you and the MLW roster. We're getting you guys back to work. We're getting you guys on TV, and hopefully this will be a new exciting era for everybody. And I'm very happy guys like you are going to be working again and getting paid, and we're going to get things going again, hopefully. So really excited for that, and for you and MLW, Kevin.
Yeah, thank you so much, Jeffrey. I'm very excited about it too.
Appreciate it. Really enjoyed this time and getting to speak with Kevin Koo of MLW. You've been listening to Jeffrey Harris on the 411 Wrestling Interviews podcast. Thank you, everybody. All right, thank you very much to Kevin Koo for joining us here on today's show. Remember, you can find us on the 411 Mania YouTube channel. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, on Stitcher, on Google Play. If you're listening to us on YouTube, if you can give us a like, if you can give us a comment, a subscribe on the channel, I would very much appreciate it. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, if you can give us a 5-star rating or review, I would also very much appreciate that. But more than anything, thanks for finding the show, and thanks for listening to us and giving us your time. And stay tuned for our next interview on the 411 Wrestling Interviews podcast. Once again, I am the J to the E to the double F-free. This is Jeffrey Harris signing off, and have a great day.